So we're mixing the dirt for the planter. What we've used is 6 bags of this Miracle-Gro Performance Organic and 3 bags of peat moss, just because that's what we had. We've used a bunch of this mushroom compost, probably 40 bags of this, and we've also used several bags of steer manure. This has all been sitting here for 2 or 3 years at least. I don't know if that decreases its potency or not, but we also dumped in some old pots you can see that weren't totally root bound. So we'll mix some dirt in maybe too. Right now we dumped it all in a pile. We're mixing it all together with the tractor, and hopefully this will be a good concentration. It's worked well in the pots. This mix, especially this mushroom compost, this is from the mushroom farm that's here in the valley, and they get rid of their soil every so often, and the local company bags it up. We used to get it dumped in dump truck loads, which is nice, but they don't do that at this time, so they gave me some bags really cheap. I don't remember what they were, but it was pretty inexpensive. I think it was like $1 a bag is what it came out to be. So normally you'll pay several bucks at the store for those. So anyway, let's get this mixed up and get it inside. Okay, so I came in first and mixed it up from this direction, scooped it and lifted it and dumped it several times. Then I came in from that side over there and scooped it and dumped it several times and drug it back. Obviously I didn't get these broken up very well, but that's the only way to load a wheelbarrow, I'm telling you. Although this is so light, I'll probably just come back with a snow shovel and just scoop it up and fill the wheelbarrows in just a few seconds. Yeah. All right, well, let's start getting this inside. Okay, so this is what this is looking like. It's 85 outside. It's probably that inside the greenhouse here. But I've got a lot of the dirt in that I mixed. I'm going to run out. I've only got 3 wheelbarrows left, which is only going to bring, a wheelbarrow's bringing me about 9 inches in direction coming this way. So 3 wheelbarrows is about 27 inches, so just a little over 2 feet, which isn't very much. I'm not packing it down very hard. I am packing it by hand, just sort of on the surface. And of course we'll have to moisturize it and let it settle as well. We've got about 20 inches of soil there, so that's good. Yeah. And you can see some of the sand has dried out. I think some of this water level has dropped over the past few days since I filled it up to the overflow. So I think some of it's dropped, and because some of the sand's getting dried out on the top. So as far as capillary action goes, yeah, best in silt, not as good in sand, not as good in clay. And this is I don't know what you call this. This is a combination of, there's no real clay in it, there's no real silt in it, there's no real sand in it. There might be some parts of it from some of these bags, but most of it's just compost and manure and peat moss, so it's pretty light stuff. I don't think its capillary action is going to be very good, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, so the bottom line is I may need to raise the water level up to like the top of the sand or something for it to start soaking up through the dirt and keep it moist all the way to the top. What that might mean is, while I'm trying to figure that out, is we go ahead and plant seeds and then just water them by hand, spray them, or put a soaker hose in here that'll just kind of keep everything wet on top until we get that figured out. I would go ahead and get things planted. Dawn's working on a list of, or a plot of how she wants to lay out stuff in here right now. How many of whatever, based on the square footage that she has. So, of course, we can also start planting plants back here once we get this window opened back up. And yeah, it looks like I can still bring it up a couple more inches, can't I? because that's the edge, the top edge right there, and I want it all the way to the top edge if I can. So this will settle some. We'll just have to keep adding dirt and adding dirt as it settles. Potting soil or whatever we can find this time of year, because it's already September. All right, but the cool part is we're going to be able to plant in here and have the seeds in here because it's freezing. Tuesday morning it's going to be like 24 degrees Fahrenheit, and then Wednesday it's going to be like 29 or 30 or something. So it's going to freeze outside, and the cool part is we're going to have this all closed up and be able to plant seeds in here. I was thinking we should go ahead and do starters in little pots in the garage so they wouldn't freeze, but we have this, so why can't we just put them right in the ground, is what Dawn's saying. And I think she's right. So that's the cool part. The other thing is this black dirt's going to be good thermal mass. As the sun shines in and heats this up, this is going to be really good thermal mass as well to keep this building warm, as well as this concrete wall that we've put in, as well as the cement along all the back walls. Okay, good. Hopefully this will work even better this winter. I'm hoping to get the back buried before winter and keep our fingers crossed. In the garden, we've grown this pure mushroom compost mixed with the silt that we have here in the valley bottom. And the broccoli was the most delicious broccoli I've ever had in my life. And a lot of things grew really well. So that valve's going to be below grade, dirt level here. So I'm just cutting a piece of 4-inch that's going to go up underneath the valve like that. Then this is a little bit bigger. So I started to just make this like this and put it down. That way you could grab the valve from the top. But the diameter here of this coupler is a little bit bigger than this. So I thought, well, maybe we can still get our hands in there easily. So I'm just going to put it upside down, put the coupler on top. It's going to be black. Of course, it'll match, and that's important. Okay, rather than gluing this, I just put a screw here and a screw on the other side. Not one that goes all the way through. Both pieces of PVC, but just enough to capture it so I don't drag my knuckles on a sharp piece of metal. I can still reach inside and turn the valve. Okay. Okay, good. So right now I'm just letting the water run in here. Should be filling up again. I mean, I don't know how low it got from evaporation, but you know, it's 95 in there right now, and it's probably 90 outside, so, or in the low 90s, so it's about the same temperature in here as it is outside. 93, 16% humidity. That'll go up as this moisture from this starts to rise up and keep this dirt moist. It should keep the humidity a little bit higher in here as well. So anyway, I'm just going to fill it up until it starts dripping out there, and then I'll stop it, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 days we'll see moisture up at the top of this. I'm not optimistic about that, but it may happen. So we'll just have to see. Okay, I just shut off the water there. So it's filled up to this pipe. It's spilling over, going down, running out here, and it's going to equilibrate. So I put this stick in here, and here's the interesting thing. I had marked it before I started filling it today. I marked the water level right there, and so when I filled it, it filled all the way up to here. So what that means is it had evaporated about 2 inches, and now it's refilled back up to here. Now, this might drop a little bit as this water level drops, but it's not going to be, you know, it'd still be 1.5 inches that it dropped just by evaporation. So, yeah. And this stick that I put in here, I have a flat cap on the bottom of this pipe. It's a flat cap, so it drops to the bottom every time, and it's, no matter where it ends up in there, it's always the same level. So, not that that's that important, but it's interesting to watch it and see where the water level is. Now, again, we'll wait a couple days, maybe 3 days, I guess, and see where the water level goes. See if this gets damp up here, and I might even dig down to make sure, just to see where the water level is inside the soil. Okay, we know the sand gets soaking wet, but the soil is the next question. How high is that going to? How much capillary action is the soil going to have to be able to pull water up? All right. One last thing. I mixed the dirt right out here with the tractor. I piled them all. I cut all the bags, just dumped it all in a heap, mixed it all up with the tractor, with the loader, just picking it up and dumping it over and over and over and over. And then I'm scooping it into wheelbarrows with a snow shovel, bringing it in here and just shoveling it in. Now, that would have been a lot easier had I done this before I put the glass up, right? Okay. So just something to think about in the future if you're doing this. Also, my wife said, wouldn't it be easier just to bring the bags in and dump them in here and then mix it in here? And I said, maybe, because you can carry a lot in one bag. But I didn't want to put the EPDM rubber liner at risk of me mixing it with a shovel in here or something else that's sharp that I could poke a hole in it and then have it leak. I don't want it to leak at all. So that's primarily why I didn't mix it inside of here. It was more work, but I feel like the rubber liner is intact and it's safe, and there's no question that it's going to stay intact. So back here between the tanks, I'm just insulating the hard plastic. I'm not too worried about the water hose. It's going to get down to 24 tonight, and it's only September 7th. So I'm going to go ahead and insulate that. I built a box so that the load of the dirt pushing down on this from way up here isn't going to bust my pipes. I'm also going to seal this around here with Great Stuff. And then I'll probably go ahead and start back burying this around the edges of the water tank so that the cold air doesn't come in underneath. And so I'll back bury all around this edge here because this is all exposed here. And then that will allow me to protect the hard pipe, the plastic pipe, from any cold air encroachment that might freeze it and cause it to crack and bust. That's what I'm trying to avoid for tonight. So I've got a couple hours of work ahead of me. Also, I'm going to build a little box over this, and went ahead and wrap that. I probably don't need to wrap it because I'm going to go ahead and bury this side in dirt once I get the box built and get the box in place. Okay, good. Okay, well, it's getting late in the day. I don't have any great stuff like I thought, so I'm just going to get some sheet plastic and pack it all around these edges and then just lace them up on top of it. That'll kind of help protect the wood from the moisture from the dirt as well. Here's this box. I just went ahead and made this back pan a little taller. You can see it sticks up there. And then I put three 6-inch screws in so they're catching the inner plywood that's just inside the insulation. Okay, so the insulation's right inside this plastic, if you remember from old videos. Okay, and then I'll just cover this with plastic as well and try to, keep the dirt from falling around behind it as much as possible. I think once the dirt settles and packs down around that, it's not going to move. It's not going to be falling down and putting a lot of weight. Even if dirt does fall down inside this box and it sits on top of my plumbing, it's not going to be so much weight that it's going to break it. So that's the whole reason behind building these boxes, to keep the bulk of the weight of the dirt off those connections. So hopefully they'll last. The other thing is, I think I talked about this in other videos. If these tanks settle one way or the other, what they've been doing is settling to the outside. So these outer sides are settling down that way. So they're kind of twisting out like that. And this one's twisting this way. So I think if that's going to continue, that's all I'm going to see. So as far as it twisting up this way, there's lots of room for it to twist up. Or if this box were to settle down, there's plenty of room that the box won't contact the plumbing in both cases. So obviously this one's not going to be able to go anywhere because it's on top of wood. So in hindsight, I wished I'd gone ahead and taken the time to make this wider, not just where I thought, well, they're just barely going to stick out past the edge. You can't make that big of a deal. But I wish I'd made it a little wider. It would give me some things to work on, stuff to more protect the plumbing. And anyway, it would have taken a little bit more time and a little bit more wood, but I wished I had done that now. Okay, moving on. Okay, so all wrapped in plastic, all tucked in. Same thing here. This is 6 mil plastic, and there's probably like 8 layers over that. So, yep, that should do it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the tractor out, and I'm going to have to scoop a slot here so that I can drive up here and be able to dump dirt. So, yeah, I'll have to do a little dirt work first before I move the dirt up here. Okay, good. I'm not super worried about the air going around the back. I think some of the dirt's going to fall back in those corners there. My whole goal really is to just get around the base here, put some on top of this to bury that, get around the base here and here, and maybe some just tucked back there in that corner there. I think I can go ahead and proceed with burying these now that this is done, which is good because it's kind of third of the way through September, and it'll start freezing in November pretty consistently. The freeze tonight's 24 degrees. It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be cold enough for long enough to freeze these, I don't think. These are still about half full of water. So I think those will be okay. I hope. Otherwise, I'm going to be rebuilding this whole thing. All right. So that just took a few minutes with the tractor to push a bunch of dirt up here. Okay. So I got it buried a lot more than I intended, which is okay. A little bit of shovel work to get it back there. A little bit of shovel work to get it around the side here and kind of fill in the back. And same thing here. A little bit of shovel work just to get it over. All right, so you can see how much this settled. That's a couple inches on this outer corner. I had actually, I don't know if you can see that little line right there. I kind of traced with my finger. Right here, and I traced that just above this when I first set them on the wood, right before I filled them with water. After I filled them with water, it came up to right here, and so it settled 1.5 inches, couple inches since I first filled them with water. Now this side didn't settle quite as much, maybe 1 inch or so, and also this side tank was the one that was fully on the wood. That side has the edge that's hanging off, so I expect it to tilt that way some. And this isn't very strong wood. This is just a couple pieces of OSB, like 1/2 inch OSB, so it's nothing strong to support the weight of whatever I calculate this at 4,000 pounds when these are full, 550 gallons with both of them, and then whatever that comes out to times 8 pounds per gallon. Okay, well, cool.